Good morning, students. It's Chef Harry with Edible Schoolyard New Orleans at ASH. I am so glad to see you all. Let me tell you about some bread I made. Okay, I baked this bread last night. It is so good. It's a focaccia. Let me show you. Time to eat more focaccia. With butter on it. A little more salt. Some black pepper. Eating focaccia in the garden. This is how you spell focaccia. F-O-C-A-C-C-I-A. Ligurian focaccia. Liguria is a place in Italy. Where's Liguria? All the way over in Italy. All the way across the sea is where our focaccia is from. All right, let's start making this bread. Okay, here's my recipe. I am starting at the top. 2½ cups lukewarm water. Half a teaspoon active dry yeast. 2½ teaspoons honey. That's about a tablespoon of honey. And we're gonna stir it all in. The yeast will start to grow in this sweet honey water. So what is yeast? Yeast is alive. When you put it in bread, it eats the flour and it eats sugars in bread. And as it grows, it makes little bubbles. And it's those bubbles that make the bread rise. We'll see. Okay, looking at the recipe, how much flour do we need? 5 1/3 cups flour. I'm going to use 3 1/3 white flour and 2 cups of whole wheat flour just for that kind of flavor. We can make substitutions. If you have sugar at home, you can use that instead of honey. It'll turn out just fine. 1 cup of whole wheat flour. 2 cups of flour. 3 cups. 4 cups. 5 cups, 1/3 cup to go. 5 1/3 cups of flour. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of fine sea salt. Mix it in. Combining the white flour, the wheat flour, and the sea salt. Next comes the wet ingredients. The water, honey, and yeast. A 1/4 cup of olive oil. Really any kind of oil could do if that's what you have on hand. Stir. A 2, a 3, 4, 5, a 6, a 7, 8. Pass it to your neighbor. Almost all mixed in. We're just going to mix just until all the flour is wet. All the flour is mixed in. I scrape down the sides. Let's see what's next. Stir with a rubber spatula until just incorporated, then scrape the sides of the bowl clean, done, and cover with plastic wrap. I just use a kitchen towel, I don't use plastic wrap. Leave out at room temperature to ferment for 12 to 14 hours until at least doubled in volume. Well, I want to eat it tonight, so I don't have 12 hours, but I'm going to leave it out for as many hours as I can, and we're going to see it rise. Here's what it looks like now. I'm going to cover it up, and we'll check back in a few hours. It's changing. Ooh-hoo-hoo, bubbles. It's rising. Oh, that's a lot bigger now. So at first it looked like this, and now it looks like this. Before, after, small, big, flour that rose. How? Here's how. It all comes back to the yeast. The yeast is alive, and as it ate the sugar and the flour and the dough, it ate a little bit and it made gas bubbles that made the dough expand and rise. Alright, time to bake this bread. The yeast has been doing its thing. Hey everybody, we're going to start with a bunch of olive oil on the bottom. You can use any kind of oil that you have. We're going to spread it around so that we get a good crust on the bottom. The oil is what's going to give us a tasty, crunchy crust. And we're going to move all of this dough. Let's see, I tried this once yesterday. Let's see how I do. Watch it shrinking. You know the yeast made all those bubbles. And now, some of the bubbles are coming out, but it's still a lot bigger than it was at the beginning. And okay. Get all the dough. We don't want to waste a thing. This is all delicious focaccia. And now we just pull it out in every direction to fill the pan. Pulling all the corners of the bread to fill the pan. We're going to let it rise some more here in the pan. As the bread rises again, we'll go out and harvest rosemary and prepare the other toppings for our focaccia. This is my dog Booker. Hey Booker, say hi. And this is my garden. We're gonna get some rosemary for the focaccia. Come see. We're gonna get these new shoots of rosemary that we can easily peel the leaves off of. It's gonna give a great flavor to the focaccia. All right. We're just gonna pull these leaves off the rosemary. Garlic. All right, our toppings for the focaccia, we got rosemary, onion, garlic right here. I'm gonna put the garlic with some oil. Right, the garlic is in a bowl. We're gonna soak the oil and the garlic together before we spread it on the focaccia. The dough has risen again. Time to top the focaccia. We're gonna spread the oil and the garlic all across. And we're gonna put dimples in it the traditional way. You just poke it a bunch. Time to put the rosemary. Time to put the onion. More onion. A third of a cup of water. About a teaspoon of salt. Mix it in. A special step for focaccia. Put the salt water over the bread. And it's ready. Let's go to the oven. We'll check in 25 minutes. 7 minutes left, but I gotta check. Let's see, taking a peek. Oh, almost. Okay. Voila. Maybe the hardest part of all is letting it cool before eating it. You ready? You gonna start here?
I already started.
All right. It's time to eat. Here we are. Focaccia. Check out the recipe. Let us know what you cook at home.